10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Good luck, studio.
Oh, it's the Shy Life Podcast.
Oh, there's going to be some drama ahead.
All I wanted was a pie, and then I hatched out as an egg.
Okay, bring the mic over. He's ready to record.
Hello.
It's the quiet ones you've got to watch, you know.
Is it metaphorical? Is it deep? Is it deep?
Good boy. He said all that Shy is right.
Blimey, Governor. It's the Shy Life Podcast.
Bonjour et bienvenue au podcast The Shy Life.
Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the Shy Life Podcast with me, Paul the Shy Yeti. How you doing? I'm alright? Yeah, so what are we up to this episode? Well, we're going to do something today we've never done before. In fact, we're taking Nick somewhere he's never been to before. Nick is coming with me to Pickle Hollow. Yes. Obviously, you know that Toppy and Nick have done quite a few episodes together, but Nick's never been. Well, I don't think Nick's ever been on the spaceship, and he's certainly never been to Pickle Hollow. So it seemed like a good idea, a nice plan, and that's what we're going to do. So let's run the theme music, and when we come back, we'll be on our way. Yes. Run that theme music.
Darling, it's the Shy Life Podcast.
Good, well, it's a positive thing, Paul. The High Life, the Shy Life.
You won't find a cast of characters like this everywhere.
I'll go anywhere for a potato.
Delicious.
Hello, captains. How are you?
You quite like a big bang, don't you, Paul?
Go Shy Yetis.
Oh, I hope he hasn't found out my secret. Do you think he has?
I love the Yeti test. It's my favorite thing.
If you thought that was bad, just listen to this.
Yeah, I am strangely drawn to Yeti Uncle John's ankles as well.
Has the Shy Life Podcast slowed down? I don't think so. Has anyone seen my hot sausage?
It's all gooey and meaty and yum, 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 yum.
Oh, I can't wait for it to begin.
It's the Shy Life Podcast.
I like that. Yeah.
Marvellous, Paul.
Hi there.
So, Nick, what do you think of the spaceship? It's pretty good, isn't it?
Big movie, yeah. As I say, usually I'm a bit dodgy with heights, but I think within this spaceship, I think that's fairly.
Yeah, and it's not like one of those ones where you don't have to be buckled in or anything. You can wander around. But,
yes, and the gravity is here. So.
Yes, the gravity of the situation.
Yeah.
Well, have an explore. I'm sure he'll be here in a second, and he'll show you around. And I've got to talk to the listeners anyway. The episode's just beginning. So.
Wonder what down there that way.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I only know. It's bigger than it looks, this spaceship, and I know some bits, and I think he's constantly changing things. I'm sure he'll show you around.
Okay,
but,
well, I can have a look.
Can have a look.
Explore.
So, listeners, we're on the ship. Yes, Nick's just having a look around. He was quite impressed, I think. I can't believe we've never had Nick on the spaceship. No, not unless we've all had amnesia, which is possible. I was talking to Toppy just the other day, and I said to him, Nick probably in a way gets the sort of, I don't know, the type of episodes we do often means that Nick's, we're talking about words, or we're talking about books, or we're talking about, which is all fine and good, but Nick never gets to come on an adventure or go anywhere. Actually, that's not true. He's often done us recordings from his trips. He did us some recordings from Scotland last year. But what I mean is he never gets to go on a spaceship. He never gets to go to Pickle Hollow. And it must be years since he's been to America. I think the only time he's been to America was when we went to Vegas together. And that was 2000. So, this is his first trip to America in 23 years. First time he's been on a spaceship. Thought it would be nice for Nick to sort of see Pickle Hollow. I don't know that he'll meet like loads of people. We're not doing a tour, I don't think. But no, we've been invited over for dinner with Aunt Tappy, who I can't remember if Aunt Tappy's met Nick. One would think they must have done, but again, maybe not. But yeah, she's preparing a meal, so we'll go and see. I haven't seen Aunt Tappy myself for a while. I've talked to her on the phone. Obviously, I went to stay with her for a night or two, which she was very pleased to see me. Dealey came, of course, that time. Anyway, yeah, I just thought it would be nice to just have a trip out, you know. I think it's safe to say we're still in the early months of 2023, and yeah, it's just nice to go somewhere, isn't it? The weather's been pretty awful, on and off, and it's just nice to have something to look forward to. So I hope it's not too much for him. No, I'm sure Nick will cope. He's a very curious person, very interested in things. So I don't know. Oh, here comes it. Oh, yeah, of course, things with Ick is still a little bit tense, but you know, Ick's still in contract, so yeah, it doesn't really inconvenience him to drop us over in Pickle Hollow. Well, let's just say we're on speaking terms, but it's all a bit tense. As I say, he's coming.
Well, we'll be there pretty soon, Paul.
Oh, good. How's Nick?
Oh, he's just having a look. I showed him the ship's library.
I didn't know you had a library.
Oh, yes, Paul.
Well, you do know I was a librarian for many years.
Yes, Paul, I do.
You've never shown me your books.
I don't think you'd understand many of them.
Well, and Nick will?
Nick is a very intelligent gentleman.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I mean, and I'm not.
Nick has books in his house.
I have books in my house.
Well,
do your books not have a translate filter or something? I mean, when you go on Facebook and someone's written in a different language, it's usually the ability to translate. It's kind of pretty standard with many websites.
It's not a website, Paul. These are books. They do not have an automatic translate. Well, some of them do.
Well, you should show me your library.
I will do if there's time, before I go.
Okay.
I'll go and tell him we're nearly there. I meant to make a cup of alien hot chocolate and I forgot.
Oh, well, I'm sure he'll be fine.
Yes.
And are you coming for the meal as well?
No, Paul, I have things to do. You don't intend to stay overnight, do you?
I don't think so, not on this occasion. No, just a little day trip, really. We used to go for day trips to Bournemouth on the bus. And now we can go for day trips to different parts of the world. It's amazing.
Well, you can do, for the moment, until I go.
Yes, Ick, I understand. You're right.
Maybe you'll find yourself another alien.
Maybe we will. Yes, so it's nice to take advantage of the availability of your ship whilst we have it.
Take advantage. Yes, those are the two words I think most of when I think of you, Paul.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, I'm sure even after you've left the show, you'll like to pop in.
I don't know about that. I might be on the other side of the galaxy. We're in a completely different place, you know.
A different universe. I must ask Troby about universes and galaxies and the difference. Which is the bigger one? Perhaps I should know that by now.
I could tell you, but I can't be bothered. I'm going to get Nick.
All right. Oh dear, listeners. I try not to react to him. We don't know for sure he's leaving. I think he's just playing hard to get. I'm pretty sure that he'll renew. No, actually, I'm not sure. But maybe he does just need a break from, being on the show. But it makes it very difficult. I just don't want to goad him. I just don't want to make him crosser. He just jumps on everything you say at the moment. I must admit, aside from losing Ick himself, we have become very dependent on his spaceship. And goodness knows, you know, if Toppy and I have to go back to just talking on Skype, so used to just popping over to him and him popping to me, that's another reason that we want to do this now, whilst we can, because, you know, we can just walk on the ship, sit down, you know, you don't even have to put a seatbelt on, compared to all of the rigmarole, plus the extreme expense of flying somewhere. I'm not saying we couldn't do it, but with my current issues, it's not necessarily the most easy thing for me to do, getting on a plane and getting to the airport, and it's a lot. It's a lot. Anyway, I must say, my mind has been working overtime. It's not the first time he said what he just said then, that he's not coming to dinner and that he's got other business. I mean, I keep meaning to ask Toppy, but I just think, what if Ick has got plans to join another podcast, like an American podcast? What if Ick plans to join the Smellcast? I mean, I think if that was happening, Toppy would say something. But, Toppy does, he does find the whole spaceship thing very useful to get about. How would I feel if Toppy signed him up for the Smellcast? What could Toppy offer? But then what can I offer? He lives in his spaceship under the M25. I mean, Pickle Hollow is a bit more glamorous. There's a bit more space in Pickle Hollow as well. But it's not all fun and laughter. I mean, they have killer gerbils. It was gerbils, wasn't it? But anyway, giant ones. Oh, dear. We have yoga vampires. Well, we don't anymore. Well, hopefully we don't. Oh, dear. I'm sorry. I'm waffling. I'm just waiting for Nick to come back. Yeah. I'm sure Toppy would have mentioned if Ick had asked him, but Ick could well be, wandering around Pickle Hollow introducing himself. Well, he knows a lot of people there already. What if he's got a job at Jose's Hideaway or something, or at least is looking to get one? I think Ick is very used to Earth now. Does he really want to leave? And if not the Smellcast, there are plenty of other podcasts that might want to use him. There are a few quite conventional podcasts who might have decided that they need, something a bit more exciting. I imagine there are a lot of these podcasts where they're just talking, about their lives and things. There's potential that people kind of lose interest and the ratings go down, and having an alien on the show could help. I mean, perhaps Big Fatty's struggling with ratings. It's difficult to know, isn't it? I don't know how many people listen. I mean, Big Fatty seems to manage, doing his shows in the way he does them, but who knows? Perhaps Poodle has suggested that, to really move into the big time, an alien like Ick, with all his tentacles, I said tentacles, is exactly what he needs to go stratospheric. I know, look, I'm worrying needlessly. I'm sure I'm worrying needlessly. I can hear voices. Right, so Ick will be dropping us off. We'll be seeing the others, and then I guess Ick will join us again when it's time to go home. Oh dear. Nick, how's it going?
How was the library, Nick? I didn't even know there was a library.
Pretty darn stunning, actually. I don't know how long it took him to collect. But...
Well, the thing is, he's got this thing with books, like he likes to eat them, but I don't know.
You've got a larder there, basically, haven't you? I mean, whether he's got a sort of intellectual interest in him or they're a quick snack, or maybe both.
I don't know.
Just imagine how handy it would be if it was both.
Yeah, probably. Things are a bit tense between us at the moment. You might have picked up on it. Well, I mean, his contract's coming to an end. I didn't even know he had a contract. Nobody else knew he had a contract, but he's got a contract. Yeah. And he's I don't know, he seems to feel he's underused, or but I mean, most of the other cast seem to think he had perfectly, he had a baby last year. And I know the baby grew up very quickly, but he had plenty of plot lines, but apparently not enough for him. But anyway, I'm trying to, not. He's being very passive aggressive, and I'm trying not to react to it, and it's very difficult. But anyway, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to. You'll love Aunt Tappy. She's lovely. I know you've met her in other locations, but you've never been to Pickle Hollow. We don't think you have. It's quite possible we've forgotten, but I don't think you have. You've certainly never been to dinner with Aunt Tappy, so it'll be good. Yeah, she usually does a good spread, but she said something about doing very old-fashioned, like typical American dinner. So I don't know what that means. But it'll
be an education.
Yes, I'm sure. I don't know if Toppy's. I thought Toppy was joining us, but I think he said he'll pop in and say hi, but he may not be actually joining us for the food. Yeah. Life of a busy podcast and all that. But anyway, I think we are landing any minute. Is that? Yes, looks like we are.
Okay. Brace yourself.
We'll be coming into land any minute. Just yes. Hold on to something.
All right. Dear, oh dear.
come on in.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Oh, dear.
Thank you. It's a great honour. It's my first time here.
Yes. How did you get on with the jetpack? Or did you do the stairs? I used the jetpack. I used
heights very well.
Oh.
I was a bit queasy with that jetpack, I must admit.
Yes. Well, sorry about only having the one jetpack. They're expensive.
I'm sure I'll get the hang of it. I'll be a jetpack jet setter soon.
Well, he's been on the so I don't know that you've been on a spaceship until today. I can't. Everyone seems to, unless you have and I've forgotten, but certainly haven't been on it that often. That's quite a experience in itself.
Yeah, again, sort of. I suppose it's like an aeroplane. Even if you don't like heights, you think you can. It's capable.
It is weird. It is weird with the spaceship because you don't have to wear seat belts or anything. You just wander around. There's a kettle. It's sort of like a home from home.
Ick is such a darling little creature. Yeah. Oh, yes.
I'm sorry he couldn't. I was hoping he'd pop in, but he's got other business whilst we're having, whilst we're spending time together. He's doing something else. But,
well, that's all right because I haven't put my books away. You know how he likes to eat them.
Yes, he does. He likes to eat books. Yes, we don't want that.
Inwardly digest them.
Yes.
But speaking of eating, dears, I've prepared some little American fare for you.
Splendid.
We call this a buffet.
Oh yes. Oh. We've been to Nick's been to America just the once, isn't it?
I have, yes. Las Vegas.
Yes,
Las Vegas.
Yeah, we went to some of the big buffets in Vegas.
And were there buffets to die for?
Yeah, it was just so much to choose from. But this is different. This is home cooking, though. So
home cooking indeed. Over there in the pot is squirrel stew. Oh, that was an American dish from way back. And then you'll enjoy that. It's a lot like chicken,
Looking forward to that.
Yes, I should say.
And
yes, and over here we have. Oh dear, should I say? Well, all right, I'll say it. It's roadkill pancakes. Oh well, I don't know.
May I ask what particular roadkill?
I don't know. I can't recognize it.
Oh, I see. It's squash.
Oh well,
squash beyond all recognition. Well, as I say, I'll have great fun identifying.
Yes, and then of course, possum innards in the other pot.
Oh yeah.
That's unique.
You'll enjoy that. It's not like chicken at all. Let me just warn you.
She's a little bit different than some of the stuff you've served up before. She's really pulling out the big guns.
Well, I think also one needs to remember that we are just doing the job of wildlife, because wildlife will come along and eat a roadkill, and so we're just getting down with the animals.
Well, this is not a giant gerb.
It's very very good for the planet.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. And also, I just had a pioneer sort of theme going. So this is all stuff that pioneers would have eaten when they came to America and settled the fair lands here.
I thought a pie in the air.
Yes.
I thought. How'd you keep it up there?
For dessert, the pièce de résistance, which isn't an American saying, I know, but anyways, I'm going to go out and get some fresh snow, and then I'll drizzle maple syrup over it. You'll love it.
Yeah, that sounds very nice.
Lovely.
I guess I noticed how it is pretty snowy at the moment. Even considering we're coming into the spring, it's still got some snow about.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about the delay sometimes.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I mean, snow hangs around longer.
That's right. It is the coming of the ice age, they say.
Yeah.
Or is it all going to burn up? I don't know.
Is Toppy joining us as well?
Oh, good heavens, no. He's busy. He sends his apologies, but just the three of us.
Oh, that's quite cosy, isn't it?
That's nice.
As I say, it's like we're certainly not missing the British weather. It's teeming with rain at the moment. Not very nice.
Oh yeah. Well.
Aunt Tappy, are you still doing your radio show?
Well, yes. On the pod. No. The radio show sort of went away once that whole controller thing was going on. But you know all about that, don't you, Paul?
Yeah, the controller was influences extended even to Pickle Hollow at one point, Nick.
Are we talking about the same controller?
Yes. Yes and no.
In the 90s?
Yes and no. It's the same position, but I think it's a bit like James Bond, where no one's sure whether it's the same character or it's the same person.
Ask him a few questions. That'll trip him.
Yeah, I know. It's a different different person with that title. It looks like it's if not a heredity title, but it's some sort of thing that gets passed down. So I'm not sure it's quite the same person from the 90s.
Was the controller still around at the end of Sutton Park?
Yes, he was. But
we're just going to be furious to find that somebody's taken his mantle.
Well, I mean, my long lost cousin Algernon was the controller the last time, but luckily we've hardly heard from him in 2022, other than being accused of attacking him because he ended up in hospital. But I had an alibi. It wasn't me. It's not the sort of thing I would do. He's sort of. I don't know. It's been very quiet, and of course I left the library because Control Incorporated took over the college and the library. So since I left there, my involvement has been. Luckily, he's not been bothering us. So,
well, that's good. Once I extricated myself from his manipulations, I decided that was the last of that, and I hope I never see him again.
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
I'd love to know where all these controllers are coming from. Is there a factory somewhere?
I don't know. I mean, because they back in the Sutton Park days, there was almost like a bot type, like a face that you saw, which for a while we thought was the controller, but I think it was more a portal for the
avatar.
Yes, an avatar for the controller.
So like that. I do.
Yes, yeah. That's very good. But I don't know that we ever faced the human face of the controller back in the Sutton Park days, because if you remember,
I was possessed by him though.
Yeah, around the time we went to Vegas, that was when we were trying. I don't know if you know about this, Aunt Abby, but Nick and I went to Vegas and we were hoping to speak to some film producers. I was keen to make a sort of film to get out the point. This was in the very early noughties. I was thinking about making a film of Sutton Park, I felt that we needed to tell people what had been going on, but I think they of course the controller had infiltrated Hollywood. It never came to anything, and decided it was better just to slink off and do other things. And for a long time, we never got bothered by him.
But yes, he has possessed my body in the past.
Yeah.
Oh, that must have been dreadful, Nick.
Well, according to I looked back at the tapes of it recently, and of course I have no recollection of it because I was possessed. So
yes, how could you?
Yes,
you got possessed by a Roman soldier or something.
Yes, it was my one of my ancestors, Lavabulus Rogus.
I've listened to some of those shows.
I manifested into him at one point, and they had to exorcise me.
You ate too many grapes.
I know, and I won't. It would be indelicate of me to say in the presence of a refined lady.
Don't give him too many grapes today.
My 30th was an uncomfortable experience.
Oh dear. Well, I recall now that there were lots of possessions on Sutton Park.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
I don't know what possessed us.
We had there was bodies. So I think I was possessed a number of times.
I had that 70s.
The 70s.
Disease.
Yes, you did.
I became Lavabulus Rogus. I was possessed by the controller. They tried to knock me off several times.
You rolled down a hill. Yes, you rolled down a hill. You did your own stunts. It was very impressive.
How exciting!
Yeah.
Yes, I was younger then, though.
Weren't we all?
I wouldn't get up if I tried to roll down the hill now.
I don't know what when you want to start eating, but we've got some we've got some delicacies from, not necessarily to eat now, more gifts.
Yes. We hope you like them. They're kind of we thought it's something of a cultural exchange here.
Yeah, we wanted to find things that were very UK that you might not have come across. Apologies if any of these are more wide, spanning, and you do know about them. But now the first one, I think some of the things that we've got here are mostly quite. Well, considering some of the nice things you presented us today, I don't think anything is quite that off the beaten track as roadkill. But the first one can look a bit weird. It's from Cornwall. It's called Stargazy Pie.
I thought you were going
like the pre-title sequence of the Bond film "Diamonds Are Forever" because you've got people disappearing into mud.
Well, it's got fish in it, obviously, but the fish heads and tails are like peeking out. They're not alive anymore, but I'll tell you more about what's in there as well as the fish. But yes, it's quite striking, as you'll see here. Yes, you can see a little fishy face poking out and a little fishy tail.
Oh yes, they look surprised for some reason.
Indeed, yes.
But it's basically a fish pie. I think you can. It's got quite historical. The actual recipe dates back to the 16th century. Because obviously, a lot of the people of Cornwall, they rely on fish for their survival, especially back in those days when travelling about, you had a very, very large on your doorstep if you could only get to them. But But I guess it has sort of not a million miles away from a quiche sort of. But with the fish, it's very very tasty. But
let me ask you a question, boys, because I know this is I think a delicacy in the UK, and it's fish. But there are those dreadful eel things. Have you eaten eel?
No. A jelly deal, is it? Yes. I've never had that. I've never fancied that. I've the nearest sort of thing I've had is I've had not mussels. What are those things that cockneys eat? That are like mussels.
Clams.
Sort of like clams, but not quite the right word. Again, it's
oysters.
Oyster, maybe oyster, possibly.
To cockneys,
yes.
Yeah, I've been to a restaurant called Rules, which is quite a poshish restaurant, quite expensive restaurant in Covent Garden, and I've definitely had pie with oyster, but I'm still thinking maybe it's along. If not an oyster, then it's along those lines. And I only kind of had it because I've had not UK. I've had frog's legs in Paris, and I've had snails in Paris. The frog's legs I think I had were a little bit too garlicky. I like garlic, but it was more fiddly. They're like little tiny, like chicken wings. But obviously with a frog, so it wasn't that I was repulsed by the fact that it was a frog. It was more, gosh, it's a bit fiddly. You're not getting much meat off this.
Yeah.
But the snails. The first time I had snails, I sort of shared a portion, and I had one or two, and it was fine. Although one of the earliest editions of the podcast, Harry and I went to Lille in France, and we did this thing where we rolled a dice. We had a list of things suggested by friends. So I don't know, 6 friends gave 6 suggestions, and as we went through the weekend, we'd roll a dice, and it would say go to a patisserie and have a lovely pastry, or it might say go to a restaurant and have frog's legs, or go to, and we had snails then, and Harry hadn't had them ever at that point, and I had, so I felt, So I felt I was slightly up on him in the experience, so I could be the one who was kind of, even though internally I might be a bit snails, I was able to be the one, because he was exhibiting those traits of more visibly of, I'm not sure. So I was able to be, knowing that I'd had them before, even though I didn't exactly love them, I was able to be the brave one and kind of go, no, nothing, no problem. Here, I'm having a snail, it's fine. What's your problem?
Oh, how lovely. Where are my manners? We've been standing here in the parlor this whole time, talking. We should wander here and have a seat, everyone. We'll sit down like civilized people.
Yes.
There, have a seat, Nicholas. Here you go.
Thank you. The other one of the other guests we have here, and you'll have heard of this now. Have you ever had haggis?
I'm sorry, you had a herd of what, dear?
I don't know. Have you ever had haggis?
Haggis? No, but I knew someone named Haggis. Tell me what they are, dear.
Well,
I love haggis.
It's debatable what it is, because there are two versions. There's the unofficial version and the official version. Now, the unofficial, I like haggis as well. So it's a Scottish national dish. It's a savoury pudding, and this is the official version, but we'll tell you the truth in a minute. I don't know why it's come to this sort of situation, but haggis, because the true version is less gory sounding than the actual thing. But so it's a savoury pudding containing sheep's heart, liver, and lungs, minced together with onion, oatmeal, and spices. Now that sounds pretty horrible, but it's actually delicious.
It is. I don't go to Scotland without eating it. I eat it at every opportunity there. But also in our local pub, we have an eccentric Scotsman called George, who every Burns night in the pub dresses up in the full regalia, including a sort of fake bagpipe. And he brings in the haggis, the slaughtering of the haggis. He treats it like a sort of a ritual killing of an animal. But so some poor smo holds the haggis, and he brings back this. He brings in this huge sword and chops it in half, and we all have a piece, and it lasts for ages, and it's absolutely gorgeous.
Well, this is two things I should say. It is eaten throughout the year in Scotland, but especially on Burns Night, which is a very important night for Scots to commemorate the poet Robert Burns. But
I thought you meant they burned things.
No. The truth of the matter is, although all this flim flam about sheep's hearts and livers, and the truth of it is that, as Nick hinted there, the haggis is actually a beastie. A small round beastie that sort of not a million miles away from your gerbil or something. Obviously not as big as the gerbils.
Oh dear, you don't want to mention gerbils around here in Pickle Hollow, just so you know.
Yes, I know. I'll explain to Nick about that another time. But haggis is sort of a bit like a small furry beastie that runs around and lives in the Highlands and
dies in the Highlands as well.
Yeah, well, except for the ones we encountered in Sutton Park.
Indeed, yes.
Or that escaped. I had a haggis as a pet for a while called Hagar, but a lot of people, I don't know. I don't know why people would, I can understand people who perhaps are vegetarians or don't like the idea of an animal suffering, but then the actual haggis, and I think some haggises are quite hard to come by. They're not as easily caught. I think might be where the confusion lies, is that the version with the sheep's heart and everything is the kind of, we couldn't catch a haggis. We'll have to do a makeshift haggis using these ingredients. So I think perhaps it's just become easier to do the fake haggis than to actually find a real one that's speeding across the Highlands.
Also, it softens the blow for the animal rights people as well.
I think it's just very difficult to catch a real haggis these days, but they do exist. But
you know what all this reminds me of, boys, and it's another thing that I think originated over there where you live, And I think this means that you're awfully tricky over there. But we have a thing here in America, and we call it Welsh rarebit. And you know what? They used to use rabbits, and when they couldn't find a rabbit, they did the beer cheese sauce, put it over toast, and slowly the name changed to rarebit. Anyways, isn't that devilishly tricky of them?
I have a story about Welsh rarebit.
Really?
40 years ago, when I was at school, we did a sort of exchange for the girls' school in that they did all the sort of metalwork and woodwork, and we went over there 40 years ago and did cooking. And the first thing we made was Welsh rarebit. And when the people that went on the course before me, when they mentioned about Welsh rarebit, I thought they were doing an impression of the teacher, and it was actually called Welsh rabbit. And they go, Welsh rarebit. I just assumed they were doing an impression of the teacher, but it was actually called rarebit. Yeah. I was with a lot of hoodlums that sort of put too much Tabasco sauce in it and unspeakable stuff they put in it. So I have slightly uncomfortable memories of Welsh rarebit. It didn't go down too well.
That's really disappointing, really. I mean, I wish home economics had been something I could have done at school, because everyone
you'd be welcome to it. I didn't like it.
Well, I mean, but everyone needs to cook. I mean, considering that some people leave home at 16 or 17 and they don't even know how to. It's not a girl thing. I mean, that's such an old-fashioned. Oh well, the woman does the cooking type thing. It's.
Oh, I agree with you on that. Yeah. It's just the whole arrangement of it was chaotic. Yeah. And the people I was around.
But I mean, how often do you need to do metalwork or woodwork? I mean,
exactly. Yeah.
I think on a day-to-day basis, knowing how to cook, at least something basic, is far more useful. But
I agree. There's only so many candle holders you can whittle out of wood.
Yeah.
And rack, letter racks, and key rings. And
going through some of the stuff at my parents' recently, I did find a few, like, I think bits of it had dropped off. It was originally a clock. It was supposed to be Doctor Who themed. It had a TARDIS at the end of the. It's just a shame, because I made so few things in those sorts of lessons that I sort of instinctively want to hold on to it, but really there's nothing that can be done with it. It's just a circle of wood that's painted blue, and I mean, the fact that it existed for about 30 years longer than it should have done is. I hope it had a good life in a box.
Oh, how charming! And did you give away the things you made as Christmas gifts or something like that?
I do have a few things I made at school lying around, either at my parents or I have this very strange. It looks like it could be I like to think of it as being quite an avant-garde sculpture or little sculpture. It's just this strange person standing, pointing. One arm sort of pointing forward, and the other arm is sort of looped around. Like I don't know what it was supposed to be for, but I've still got it, and it must be pushing 40 years old. And it was put in a kiln, so it all the colour stayed in it, and yeah, I kind of have it because I made it, but really, it's not a very beloved thing.
Oh, I understand.
It's not for anybody else. It's not.
Before you boys leave, I'll have to show you the 20 or 25 clay little pots that Tuppy made when he was in school.
Oh.
They're dreadful things between you and I. They're lopsided, and, well, he wasn't a very good craftsperson, But anyways, he tried, the little dear, and I still have them somewhere in boxes that no one can ever see. Anyway, yes.
It would be nice. I got something else for you here. I don't know. I mean, I'm glad I didn't bring the Welsh rabbit material, because I wasn't sure. I nearly brought some of that, but I thought perhaps you would know what it was as you do. But what about? Do you know what a toad in the hole is?
Oh my! Well, I'm going to assume it doesn't mean there's a toad in it. But no, describe, please. A toad in a hole.
You know what a Yorkshire pudding is, or you've heard of Yorkshire pudding, have you?
Oh, yes, I've even made some, yes.
Yes. Well, basically, toad in the hole is a Yorkshire pudding with sausages in it. It's sort of served in a pan, but I guess whereas when you were doing a Yorkshire pudding, you just put the batter in and let it rise. You put some sausages in too. I can't remember how how you would eat what would you have with Toad in the Hole, Nick? What can you think?
Mashed potato.
Yeah.
Mashed potato.
The gravy.
I have to say, yes, the gravy.
Yeah.
I have to say that I like the toe, but not the hole.
Oh my goodness!
And unfortunately, I've never been a fan of Yorkshire pud. In fact, when we have Sunday lunch, my wife and I actually, I have a few more of her roast potatoes, and she has all my Yorkshire puddings. I don't like. I've never.
I will. I don't know whether it'll be released at the time of talking, but a friend of mine on Facebook posted a diagram of things that were top tier foods, middle tier, and some of the things I totally disagreed with. Things that were really top, I thought were one of the things that was top tier was Yorkshire pudding, and I think Yorkshire pudding, I like it if it's done well, but I mean, I don't suppose we'll be getting sponsorship for them, but the Aunt Bessie Yorkshire puddings are quite bland that you have in a lot of places. And also, you can have really big Yorkshire puddings with things in them, and I do like them in the right circumstance, but you do get some really bad ones, or ones that are mainly just crispy batter, and they're not that tasty unless they've got nice things over them or around them.
Not enough taste for me.
I've got some more presents for you here, but maybe we should keep them till after we've eaten. But
all right.
Are you ready? Are you ready for us to?
Here comes one that was a great favourite of my late father-in-law.
Oh, should we just do one more? We'll do one more before we eat. Is that okay, Aunt Tabby? Yeah. I don't want to. We got a jam roly-poly for you.
Oh my, what's that?
A jam roly-poly. Well, this is something you can have it as a dessert. It's a pudding. It's one of those things that probably, because it was often served up for school dinners back in the 70s, it got perhaps a bit of a bad reputation of just being a sort of a cheap dessert. But if it's done well, it's very nice. It's like a rolled out suet pudding or suet pastry. And then you cover it with strawberry jam. I guess you could cover it with other flavoured jam, and then you roll it back up again, and then you either steam it or bake it.
It ends up. It's basically a suet Swiss roll with in a sense.
Yeah, but you would probably have it with custard. Would you have it with custard, Nick, or ice cream? You probably have it with, because it's a relatively, I guess it's a little bit dry. You need to have something wet with it really to kind of. But if it's done nicely, it's very tasty. But
lovely. We've reused suet a lot here in the early days, but not so much anymore because we became civilized and started using Crisco.
Oh well,
I think it's darling that
we hold on to some of the old traditions in the UK because it's what the visitors want to see.
Yes.
Yeah. How are we? Your lovely buffet. Are we helping ourselves? Are we?
Well, my goodness, it's an American. You just walk around the table and spoon out or dish out whatever you like.
Yeah.
But I recommend starting with the crawfish étouffée. They're like little tiny lobsters.
Well, we'll do that. We'll perhaps whilst we're serving ourselves, we'll listeners, maybe you can listen to something else whilst we're doing this, and
instead of us going.
Yes, yeah, and then when we come back, we'll talk a bit more about these foods. But
that's true, dear. There's a lot of listeners out there who don't like the sound of people eating.
Indeed.
Yes, yeah. Oh dear.
Toppy, thank you so much for meeting up with me.
Oh, it's quite all right. I see this is your resume. Well, there's only 2 things on this resume. Tell me about yourself, Vic. I mean, I know you fly a spaceship and you're pals with everybody over there in the Shy Life, but I understand you're maybe looking for new employment.
Well, yes, my contract comes to an end soon, and I don't feel like I'm being used to my best potential. Yes, I'm kind of interested to look around and see what other opportunities there are. And although there are many planets, I feel like I've become quite an expert in Earth customs for 3 or 4 years, maybe more that I've been here, and I thought that perhaps as I'm coming over to the land of the Americas quite often, that perhaps you might have use for me on the spellcast.
Yeah. Hold on just a minute. I want to cover these books with a towel because I notice you've been looking at them with hunger in your eyes. A job. Things are pretty much the same here in the States as where you have come used to. So it works a little bit the same. Can you tap dance?
Oh, yes, definitely. As you see, I have many tentacles. I said tentacles. Some of them can be used as hands. Some of them can be used as extra legs. They're pretty adaptable.
I see that. All right.
I can tickle as well. I won't.
Yeah. You know what strikes me immediately is we've got a restaurant here called Jose's Hideaway, and it seems like they always need a little more help, especially these days. And with all your tentacles, it just seems like you'd be a great waiter. You'd carry all the plates at once for like the whole place,
It would also be a sociable environment. I guess you might get the occasional Hollywood director coming through. Who knows? Great things.
That's possible. Not likely. Although can you stop the dripping slime off your tentacles? Is there any way to dry that up?
Yes. It's just because it's hot that I ran to make my appointment with you.
Oh, is that why? Okay. Yeah, because we don't want the slime to drip onto the food plates.
No, of course not.
No. All right. Well, that's a possibility. Tap dancing and waiter. All right. Well,
What about I can be a romantic lead. Is Sassy in line for a new boyfriend or new alien friend?
Oh, well, okay. So about Sassy, he is our resident high squeaky voice character. And here's the fact that you are also kind of a high squeaky voice character. I have a feeling, Sassy's very jealous and possessive of his place on the podcast. And the thing is, I think he might throw a fit if I got you on the show. I hope that doesn't disappoint you too much.
It's such a shame because the pitches of our voices are almost identical.
Well, that is odd, isn't it? Anyway, but you know what? Sassy's just going to have to get over himself. I think that you should at least try out.
I would like to. Also, I think that we could probably benefit one another in that, if I can help you out by being on your show, but you were talking about jealousy before, and I think it could lead to Paul valuing me more. He will up his offer of employment, or I will be offered better advantages and perks. So I think I could help you, and yet I think, I don't necessarily need to go anywhere. But I mean, between you and I, Toppy, I don't really want to go far. It's just, I find myself in this situation, and I feel like I need to, try to get the best deal possible, and,
Well, that's very entrepreneur. It's very good of you, because of course you want to do better. Did you say, Paul, he gave you money?
Not exactly.
Oh.
But, no, not, well, it's difficult to explain. I do get reimbursed for my petrol money, for the, transporting people in the ship. I mean, it's not petrol, it's alien petrol.
Well, of course it is. That would be silly. Leftover dinosaurs and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there are perks, but I can't describe them too much, because some of them are a bit sexy.
Okay, well, we won't go there. We don't do blue on this podcast. Just so you know, that's maybe a slight difference.
Which podcast are we on? Are we on yours or mine? I'm confused.
I don't know. I have no idea. I know you're used to that Paul Chandler who often works blue, and we just don't do that here on the Smokers. We're pure as the wind-driven snow, and we don't touch some of that spicier stuff.
Aunt Tappy's quite brave having poured a liquor for a meal. You didn't want to join them whilst they were here?
Well, I just had an appointment conflict, and because that happens sometimes. But I can go over there with you if you want to enjoy. But let me just tell you, I mean, it's not going to be books.
No. Well, the thing is, I was glad that you were free, so we could have this meeting. I haven't told Paul that that's what we've been doing. So.
Oh! I'm glad you mentioned that. So mum's the word. I'll keep it under my hat.
I think I'll just wait back at the ship. To be honest, you might want to turn up at the end just to say hi, but I might go have a wander around or something. But...
Okay. Well, there's a lot to see in Pickle Hollow. So should I show up at the end, or the end?
Before the end, yes.
Okay, I'm not going to worry about it. I know Paul. He'll just stick me in where he wants. Oh, that sounds blue.
Oh, so cheeky.
Aunt Tappy, that food was amazing. I mean, I think that roadkill. I wasn't sure if it was it. Could it have been a baby deer or something? Or,
I thought it was squirrel.
Oh well, no, that was the other thing. Was squirrel? I think.
The squirrel was in the studio. Now, well, your guess is as good as mine about the roadkill, but I think it's far too small. Unless it was a very tiny deer, I don't know.
You don't get badgers, do you? Do you have badgers over there? No.
Well,
skunk. No, it wouldn't have been skunk. That would have tasted strong.
No. Well, you cut out the gland. Anyways, never mind. Well, that's the thing about roadkill, dear. The other name for it is mystery meat.
Yes.
Oh dear.
That's a kinder kind.
Yeah.
Sort of name for it. Yeah.
The snow with the
maple syrup, dear.
Maple syrup. That was very tasty. Very good. Yes.
Oh yes. It's so easy to make.
Yeah. I think I found a little bit of roadkill in that as well, but it was.
Dear.
I think it was a little mouse, but
dear.
Still alive. It was just frozen. I huffed on it a few times and it ran away. But we've got these last three gifts before we have to go back. The time's just sped by this afternoon.
It has. It's been delightful.
Look, I've got something here for you. Now, I haven't actually. I bought myself. Well, I can't vouch for this, but I'm sure it's perfectly nice. It's called a Bedfordshire clanger.
Oh, my goodness!
Used with those little furry, biggish creatures on the children's TV show.
I don't think Aunt Tappy would have seen that, Nick. The clangers are very cute pink alien things from the 60s and 70s on kids' TV. But
I see.
But this is not what this is. Now, Bedfordshire is a county, or that's where that comes from. So I guess that's where they originated from. But it's another suet thing. It's a elongated suet dumpling similar to a pasty. You know how we have like Cornish pasties and although
yes.
I don't know. I don't think of Cornish pasties as being suet. I think of them as being pastry, but I guess suet pastry. I don't know. But anyway, it's got a savoury filling one end and a sweet filling at the other. No, I've heard of Cornish pasties being like that.
Yes.
So this might be somebody might have stolen this idea from the Cornish again, but the savoury end is like minced meat and diced potatoes and vegetables, and the sweet end is usually like a jam, like a sort of apple, perhaps like an apple pie type filling. And the reason that the reason that the people used to make them was that so that people like farmers would perhaps back in the old days the wife would make them their clanger, and then they'd have their sort of main meal, their savoury meal with their sweet meal, all in the same thing. They just sort of, I don't know if they'd eat it or just keep eating, or whether they'd stop when they got to the end of one and have a break and then eat the other half. But I guess it contained it all in one pastry shell. But
how versatile! How clever!
Yeah, I mean,
they sound dreadful. No, I think I'm sure they're delicious.
I guess needs must, and working on the land, it's tough work.
I quite understand there, but you know what my takeaway from all of this is going to be?
What's that?
Well, for heaven's sakes, my entire life I've been calling them pasties.
Oh.
And here, apparently I'm wrong. They're post.
Well, that's because it's the same spelling as if you're looking pale or you're not looking very well, people might say you're looking pasty today.
Yes.
But then it's the same spelling as here's my Cornish pasty. So that's right, isn't it? It's the same pasty and pasty. It's the same word, but same spelling, different pronunciation, different meaning. But
oh dear, we inherited much of our written language from you people, and I must say you really mucked things up for us all.
I was talking to somebody today about why. Toppy and I and Nick have talked about different meanings of words and things, but I was talking to somebody about why you don't use a U in things like colour, whereas we would spell colour COLOUR, whereas you spell it COLOR. Apparently, it's something to do with the Latin. Your way of spelling it is closer to Latin spellings, so it's just, I don't know whether that's anything to do with the founding fathers having Latin texts, or I don't quite know how that all fits together, whether it's even true. But interesting. There is an explanation or potential explanation why that has occurred. But
yes, it's all really complicated from what I understand. But in America we don't want to go around saying color. Just color.
But I remember a friend of mine who's from Mexico. When I first met him, I was that ignorant. I wasn't even sure what language they spoke in Mexico, and I discovered it was like Mexican Spanish. And then he told me that Mexican Spanish is a more modern version of the language, and that Spanish is more old. Like when he hears Spanish people speaking, he said to me, it's like hearing somebody speaking Shakespearean. I don't know if he was just exaggerating, whether that is true, but it is funny how if you don't know, you think, oh well, it's all Spanish. Well, it's not the same thing at all, and it's very different, and it's perhaps only noticeable to the people who speak the languages. But
all true.
We've got a couple more things here for you now. You won't have had. I hope you won't have had one of these. Have you ever had a Scotch egg?
Well.
You choked.
Quite all right.
Just choked on one.
Oh, that one last crawfish went right down the windpipe. Well, anyway, this is the first thing that I know about.
Oh, gosh.
Because you get eggs from Scotland, and you make, I don't know anything. And the Scotland eggs are a certain thing. And anyway, isn't that right, dear?
No. I don't think.
I have to say this is one of my favourites too. I really like Scotch
I don't know.
As long as they're well done, they've got to have the good.
I don't know where the Scotch part of it came from, really. I don't think they are Scotch eggs.
So we're here to Scotch rumours.
Yeah.
That's clever.
Apparently, a London department store, Fortnum and Mason, claims to have invented Scotch eggs in 1738. But I'm not sure how. Yeah, I'm not sure how true that is. The interesting thing is, I was reading the back of the thing. It says the earliest printed recipe appears in 1809, where the dish is served hot and in a gravy. These days, Scotch eggs are a firm favourite found in British picnics. They don't tend to be served hot, but I was saying to Nick on the way over.
Hot. They're really nice.
Yeah, I was saying to Nick on the way over that I went through a stage of heating up pork pies, and I'm not really sure you're supposed to heat pork pies up because most people have them with a salad. But I did because I went through a stage. They were quite a cheap thing you could buy from a supermarket, and I was eating them with baked beans and chips which were hot, and I thought, well, I don't want a cold thing with two hot things, so I used to microwave them. Yeah. But whether you're supposed to have done, I'm not sure. I'm still here, so probably Scotch eggs. I certainly have had Scotch eggs with beans and chips. I don't know whether I heated them. I don't know if I did heat them.
There's a place in Salisbury called the Naked Bagel. Now, some time ago, the EU rules prohibited people in Salisbury to, at the shops, to make their own on site, and they're always better homemade. And the Naked Bagel actually does them, and they're absolutely delicious.
I suppose we haven't really explained what they are to poor Tappy, and we don't want you to have to unwrap them here because you'll need to put them in the fridge. But so I'm not even 100% sure how they make them. I don't know whether they. Well, the outside is like sausage meat with breadcrumbs, and then the inside is like a hard-boiled egg. I don't know whether they. I guess they must pipe the egg, perhaps through the sausage meat when it's still raw, before they cook the whole thing, and then they can kind of smooth over it. And I guess that's how they. I mean, I don't know how they can be certain they're not going to break the yolk, but I've never had a Scotch egg where the yolk was broken. So yeah, I don't know. All I do know is in recent years in London there have been, a bit like Nick was saying, there have become a bit of a. You get these sort of artisan Scotch eggs, which are homemade and quite expensive as well. There's definitely a stall I've been to in St Pancras Station where they're probably charging £5 for a Scotch egg. There are variations in perhaps the meat that's used, or they're much bigger, or they're a bit like the excitement about like cupcakes. They became a bit of a thing, but
yes, it happened over here too. But we have Scotch tape over here, but you don't eat it.
You don't
Isn't that funny?
Now I was thinking about the last gift we brought. I was thinking about these ones I didn't bring, but I did think about bringing black pudding, but I wasn't sure if you'd like that. I was just I was thinking about lava bread as well. That's Welsh. Well, the ones I know are Welsh.
Did you say lava bread, dear?
That's right, yeah.
You mean lava as in the things that are insects before they're insects?
No.
That's larvae.
No, that's larvae.
Oh, dear.
But I thought that if I brought those, it was too much savoury. And other than the roly-poly, I haven't brought you much dessert. So I have, and you need to keep this in the fridge because it's fresh, got fresh cream in it. Have you ever had an Eton mess?
An Eton mess?
Yes.
Well, how curious. No, I've never even heard of it.
Well, I think you'll like it. It's a bit of a mess on the plate, but it's very delicious. It's it comes from it was first served at Eton College back in the 1930s. It contains strawberries, broken meringue, and whipped cream, and it's all stirred together. And there's sort of get layers of fresh strawberries. You've got the cream, and it's all drizzled with nice fruity sort of coulis. And they often have it at Eton. They sort of serve it up in the summer, probably with a glass of Pimm's. So I'm sure you and Bettina would. I'm surprised Bettina hasn't taken you to, I mean, I know Bettina's garden party was a little bit unorthodox this last year, but you probably, I'm sure she would have had Eton mess somewhere, but what with all the vampires turning up, you probably missed out on that. She definitely had Pimm's because I had about 5 glasses, yeah, it gets served up at those sort of summer events. Very, very nice. I'm sure you'll like it.
Well, you do, Paul. I confess, but my dear Bettina has taught me many things, and just because I thought that you might enjoy it more, I've pretended to not know anything about these things. But really, Bettina has exposed me many years ago. All right, none of that's true. I have no idea. I don't know what I'm saying.
I can see. I think Toppy's on his way. I can see a little figure coming across the green.
Oh, well, my goodness. When he comes in, pay him no mind. If he complains about the stairs, I don't let him use the jetpack.
Oh, no. Yeah, I mean, I can see how that could be a problem. You'd never see him again. He'd end up in space somewhere. I mean, I nearly ended up in space, but...
I think we all have at one time or another.
I think Toppy would deliberately want to be in space. But...
The 60s was a heady time there.
Yeah. Didn't Toppy end up in space once? I remember him floating around somewhere.
Well, he was playing that dreadful trumpet of his.
Oh,
and Pickle Hollow decided to send him into orbit so he couldn't play.
Oh dear! Yes, I remember that happening there. Yet, here he comes. Have we got a door opening sound effect?
I hope so. Oh, well, my goodness, Nick, Paul, hi.
Yeah. Hello.
Oh, yeah.
Hi. We've been having a lovely time.
Your aunt's been looking after us quite happily.
We had some lovely food. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Aunt Teppy put out quite a spread. You've treated them to a buffet. I certainly have. And they've enjoyed every scrumptious mouthful.
I had seconds. I think I might
eat another step.
I think I might have had thirds. We brought gifts too, so you'll be able to share those maybe.
And Teppy, you didn't serve them roadkill pie, did you? Well, of course I did. Oh, they loved it. Okay.
I found a dead mouse in my dessert. No, it wasn't dead. I found a live.
It was to die for.
I found a live mouse, but he was just frozen, like one of those mammoths that people find sometimes.
Oh my goodness, they're just kidding.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
Yeah, no, it was just sleeping. It was just sleeping. I revived it. It ran away. I hope it didn't run away into your flat, Aunt Tappy. I'm sorry if it did.
Oh, if it did, it did. Pickle Hollow has a thing about mice. I don't know. It's strange. Well, it's great to see you guys.
Yeah, it's lovely.
And what did they bring you? Oh, lots of things.
Eton mess.
Yeah.
Scotch eggs.
Scotch eggs. Yes.
Well, no, we didn't bring that. We nearly did, but we didn't. But
no Bubble and Squeak.
Oh well, I did think about Bubble and Squeak. I like Bubble and Squeak. But I'm afraid we can't hang around much longer because we're sort of in the lap of.
We'll miss our backpack, our rocket pack.
Oh well, no, well yes, but it's got to take us home. So.
Oh yeah, Ick. I just met with it. I heard he was in town.
Oh well, I suppose he's doing ick things at the moment.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Still a bit frosty between us, but.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
Well, this rocket pack making me a bit icky.
But yeah.
I see what you did there, Nick.
Yeah.
Did you know that Ick has a? I don't know if you've ever been to it, Toppy, when you've been on the ship. Have you ever been to the library on Ick's ship?
I've seen a lot of crumbs, book crumbs. Most of the time, it's empty.
That's a good point. I never thought about that. I haven't seen the library yet. Nick spent most of the morning in there when we were travelling over. Yeah. But are they digital books? Are they real books? Because Ick has this thing. I never even thought about it when he mentioned a library, that he likes eating books.
Well, I mean, I saw some solid state books.
Maybe he's nibbled some of the pages. It never occurred to me that
in transit.
It never occurred to me he even had a library, and then it didn't even occur to me that if he had one, that were the books intact? But
well, I think Ick would think of his library as his pantry, don't you?
yes, you're right. It never even occurred to me. Never thought about it at all. But I was more miffed that I'd never been invited, being a librarian or being a former librarian. It's sort of that I'd never been invited to the library. But as you say, maybe he's worried about me cataloguing the books, and maybe if he's eating them, they're ordered in a slightly different way. I don't know, like by Best Buy date or something.
Well, that could be. I mean, when he was over here, never mind. No, I didn't.
Well,
I'm sorry. Continue.
I think I've just had a message on my phone. I think he's ready for me to go back. Aunt Tappy, thank you so much.
Yes, indeed. It's been delightful.
Well, you boys are such a delight, and thank you for all these lovely edible gifts.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's our pleasure. And I suppose, yeah. Well, we'll see you all soon. I know there'll be other things happening soon to connect our shows, Toppy, and.
No doubt. Sorry, I missed most of the fun today.
No, that's fine.
I had an appointment with someone.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, right. Well, I suppose. Where did we leave our coats?
Here you are.
There goes the mouse. Hello, mouse.
Oh, yeah. Do I pay him no mind? Well, and you boys, we don't use the jetpack to go down because it's so easy. So, anyways,
it's been great fun.
Are you saying you guys got to use the jetpack?
Yes.
And Tappy, dear, you need the exercise. They don't. Oh, brother.
Well, Nick, that was a nice dinner. I didn't realise when she said typical American fare that we were going to be eating roadkill, but it was quite tasty. I've never had squirrel.
Yeah, no. As I say, all part of nature's glorious plan.
Yeah. Interesting, certainly interesting. I think she liked our gifts. I'm glad we didn't bring the Welsh rabbit in the end.
I have bad memory of Welsh rabbit from 40 years ago.
I think they'll enjoy the roly-poly, and I just hope they don't do it. It can be very dry if you put it in for too long. You have to be very careful. But I think they'll enjoy that, and I think they'll enjoy the Eton mess as well. I think they definitely had it at Bettina's garden party in the summer, but that was a real. You're lucky you weren't there because it went a bit. Vampires turning up and everything. I can understand if she missed it, but hoping to have a word with Ick on the way back. Perhaps if you, perhaps you can continue your exploration of the ship, I can just have a word with him.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just don't want to make things worse. But we don't want to lose him. But not for the reason he thinks we just use him as a taxi service between here and Pickle Hollow, which we do sometimes. But I do try and help out with fuel costs and stuff. But anyway, I still must see this library. I still haven't seen it, but Anyway, I think we'll be putting the kettle on. We've got. Oh, did I tell you? She gave me a doggy bag. We've got.
So we got some doggies.
We got some doggies. No. So yes, there's lots of leftovers. So and I think there's cake. So we're not going to go hungry on the way home. But anyway, I'll see if I can have a word with him. And, and see about getting the kettle put on.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Well, thank you for coming anyway. Well, listeners, that was a nice day out, wasn't it? Nick seemed to enjoy himself. They seemed to get on well. He and Aunt Tappy. As for Ick, I don't know where he went, but maybe we'll find out. Here he comes now. Ick, thank you for picking us up.
That's okay, Paul.
Yeah. Where's Nick now?
He's back in that library. Oh, golly. Does he like that library?
Can you show me where it is? I'd like to have a look.
Oh, Paul, I really wouldn't bother. There's not that much room in there.
It's a very small library.
It's pretty small. More than one person at a time, and it's a bit of a squeeze.
Oh, okay. In a way, Nick's kind of a better librarian than I ever was. I mean, not only is he digitised, but he's also ordered, all the Sutton Park tapes. he is very, very good. I mean, the books in my house, they're not all nicely ordered. I always said it was a kind of reaction to working in a library that my own book collection would just be so higgledy-piggledy.
Yes, Paul, definitely is. Higgledy-piggledy.
Yeah, it's in a mess.
And your DVDs, too.
And my DVDs, everything's in a mess. I don't know, it's just a lot. I don't like order. Not really.
No, quite.
And how did you get on? Where did you go?
I'm afraid I can't discuss that, Paul.
Okay, I understand. So yes, well, thank you. Thank you for taking us over.
You had a nice time.
We did. Aunt Tappy, she laid on a nice spread.
She did what?
She laid on some nice food.
Why did she lay on it? Wouldn't she have squashed it?
No, I mean, that just means that she put on a nice... Oh, anyway.
No, well, as long as you had sufficient.
We did have sufficient, yes. Nick's got a doggy bag.
A doggy bag? We don't accept dogs on this ship.
No. Well, you've had cats.
Oh, Dealey's different. Actually, I would accept dogs if they were well behaved.
Oh, well, no. I mean, it doesn't mean that anyway. Nick was given some leftovers. Well, actually, I've been given some leftovers too.
By Aunt Tappy?
Yes.
That's very nice.
Actually, I've got a cake for you.
A cake for me?
From Aunt Tappy, a gift.
Oh, well, thank you. You didn't mention that before.
No. Well, I mean, no, I didn't. But yes, let me sort it out for you. Anyway, listeners, it's time for us to go. We've got a little journey ahead of us, so thank you for joining us. It's been a lovely episode. Thank you to Ick.
My pleasure.
And thanks to Nick, wherever he is. And we'll be back again soon. Oh, thanks to Toppy and Aunt Tappy, of course. And okie dokie, let's go. Take care. More episodes soon. Okay, bye for now. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Goodbye, listeners.
Hello, Paul, can you hear me? Property, yes, I can hear you. How are you? We're fine. Your Uncle John is here. Oh, good. Hello, Paul. How's it going? We're all right. We're on our way back. We'll be back soon. Oh, good. And how is Nick? Nick's fine. He's in the library. I didn't even realise there was a library. It's very small, apparently. Oh, yes, I've seen the library. Oh, yeah. Oh, I've borrowed a book from there. Yeah, he's never even told me he had a library on the ship. Well, you know, I don't think he'd lend me one now. How has he been? I mean, a bit passive-aggressive, as usual. I just don't react to him. And what's he been up to, Paul? I don't know. He went off and did something. Yeah, he went off and had a meeting with somebody somewhere whilst we were having lunch. I can't believe he turned down one of Aunt Tabby's lunches. Oh, I feel a bit jealous, Paul. Oh, we could have gone too. Yet, Uncle John, it's a bit much if we all turn up, poor Aunt Tappy. It's okay, there's leftovers. Oh, that's good. Oh, I feel happier. Yes, there's even stuff for Reginald if he's about. Actually, he's been with Tallulah most of today. We hardly see him at the Magpie Hut now. He's over there all the time. Well, I suppose it makes sense. It's lovely. It's lovely that those two are getting on so well. Yeah. But Eek, what's going on? I don't know. I wondered if he was, trying to arrange to be on another podcast. Oh, I see. It could just be a double bluff, Paul. Or just a single bluff. I'm not sure. Yeah, what I mean is that he might be being all mysterious, inferring he might go to another podcast, but really he won't go to another podcast. Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to say. He's certainly not making it easy for us. No, but, well, he does what he does, yes? Yeah, he does do what he does. Anyway, I suppose I better go. He'll be back in a moment. Oh, he could be listening in, Paul. He could be, yes. But, well, we'll be back soon. I hope this isn't your last trip with him. Sometimes I hate that he has this spaceship, because we've used it so much. I can see how it might feel to him that we're just using him as a taxi service. There's nothing wrong with a taxi service. That's my business. Yes, I know, but you get paid. Or maybe he should get paid. Paul, maybe that would help. Maybe. It's difficult, isn't it? For instance, if you have a friend with a car, it's kind of presumed that they'll drive you places. If you all want to do something together, the person with the car, different in your case, Yeti Uncle John, because it's your business. Yeah, I think Yeti Uncle John might have the key to the matter there, but it's difficult. We need him to feel like he isn't being taken advantage of. I know. Anyway, I can hear him coming back, and I can also hear the theme music, so yes, we better be going. All right, Paul, safe journey, see you soon. Make sure you bring the leftovers over. But if you're in the Magpie Hut, I'll meet you as I'm walking across from the spaceship. Great. I'll be there too. We could just go back to the house. Depends where you want to have your party. How cold is it today? Oh, well, it's not too bad. Stopped raining. Good, right, well, yeah, we better go. See you later. All right. Oh, yes, Paul. Okay, yeah.
I gotta go now! Bye!
I want to go with you!
Gotta go! Bye!
Goodbye.
It's been good, but yeah, definitely time to come home now.
Wow. Really? No kidding.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
This show is part of the Pride 48 network. Find more shows over at pride48.com.
Oh dear. What's going on now? Oh, it's the Shy Life podcast.
Let's go.
I have a voice. I have a voice.
You have a voice.
You have a voice. We have a voice.
We have a voice.
Unique voices in podcasting.
UnivazPods.net.
Oh, there you are, Paul. Where's that cake?
I've just laid it out over there in the kitchen.
Oh, I've had Aunt Tappy's cakes before. They're very good. Actually, Toppy's cooking's very nice too.
Yes. Well, it's a shame you didn't join us.
I was busy, Paul, as I've said before, but I can't say any more.
No, fine. I completely understand. Perhaps, in a way, you'd be better off on the Smellcast.
What do you mean, Paul?
Well, I presume that's what you mean by your mysterious meetings. That you want to join another podcast. Probably the Smellcast. Not that Toppy's mentioned anything about it.
Well, Paul, I can't say.
No, all top secret, eh? Well, if you leave, I hope you get a good deal. I hope they pay you well.
I could just be setting my own podcast up, but in Hollywood.
You could be, I guess. You're telling me you nipped off to Hollywood whilst we were having lunch?
I can't say anything, Paul. But let's just say people are interested in my story.
Well, I mean, I'm sure they are. They're used to meeting interesting characters out in Hollywood.
Well, let's have a look at this cake. Very good.
Have we got time to have a piece?
Oh, you want a piece of my cake now?
No, I don't mean you have to. I don't mean that we have to. I mean, where's Nick?
He's having a nap.
Oh.
I think he's tired after all that nice food.
Yes. When you get to our age, you need a nap after a heavy meal.
Yes, Paul, it's been a long day for you.
It has. I hope this won't be the last trip we make together.
Well, who can say? The days are ticking down.
The days are ticking down. But I just wanted to say, if you decide not to stay with the Shy Life podcast, I mean, I hate to think we stop being friends.
Friends, Paul? Well, we used to be friends.
Oh, come on, Ick. We're still friends. We've had a disagreement. You don't just stop being friends with somebody, just out of the blue. If you don't want to be on the show, that's fine. But we are still your friends. Yeti Uncle John, Cromitty, Tallulah, Martin, Bettina and August.
Yes, well, some of those are better friends to me than others.
Look, I know you've fallen out with Cromitty a bit, but you did say some dreadful things about Milo.
Yes, but they weren't lies, were they?
Look, I'm friends with Milo, but I'm the first one to admit that I don't think Milo treats Cromitty in the way that Cromitty should be treated. So, what you said was a bit blunt. What you said was kind of rude. But I can't say it's necessarily untrue. Those two are always, well, I don't think they've ever split up, but, you can tell sometimes when you talk to Cromitty, he sounds very sad.
He does, Paul. I don't like it.
Well, you see, you care about Cromitty.
I do, but maybe I did say the wrong thing. Nobody likes to be told they're in the middle of a failure, do they?
But maybe there are some good things, Maybe there's some good things still to come from that relationship. Maybe it's not completely gone away. I mean, it's a bit like you and the Shy Life podcast. Just because it's not what it once was doesn't mean to say that we can't still be friends or we can't still have some good times, even if we don't record them.
Maybe, Paul. It's just difficult, isn't it? Sometimes when you've made a decision, it's hard to go back.
Well, if it's about, feeling that you've made your decision so you have to stick with it, no one's going to tease you or be mean to you if you decide you don't want to leave the show. I'm sure we can find ways of improving the situation.
Maybe, Paul. Maybe. I don't know what I want to do. I'm sorry that things are like this.
I'm sorry things are like this. We love you. We want you on the show.
I know, Paul. I know.
But, on the other hand, if you need a break, if you want a break, even if you want to go away for a few months and then come back to us, or if you want some more time to think, I mean, this whole business with contracts and agents, and we've never been like that on this show, really. I mean, we're more relaxed. I'd like to think we're more relaxed.
Maybe, Paul. Anyway, perhaps we will have some cake.
Yeah, okay.
I'm going to fetch Nick.
Well, I mean, if he's sleeping, that would mean there was more cake for us.
Don't be mean, Paul. Nick would like some cake. We've got time before we get home. We're taking us around the scenic route, because there's traffic on the faster route.
Oh, really? Okay. I did think they were taking a bit longer than usual.
Yes, Paul. Still, you're lucky you can even travel by spaceship.
Yes, I'm very lucky. Yeah, you go. Do you want me to go and fetch Nick?
No, I'll go and fetch him. I know where he is.
Oh, yeah, good point. That's probably the best conversation I've had with Nick in a while. At least he seems to admit that he's as confused about the whole situation as we are. I mean, I'm glad I was able to say some of that. I always worry that when I speak to him, it's going to blow up into some sort of argument again. But maybe we've got some hope. Maybe there's hope. Maybe if it goes, it won't be for good. Maybe he just needs a break or a rest. We're going to keep our fingers crossed. The Shy Life podcast without Ick would be, well, it just wouldn't be the same. Yeah.
Wouldn't be the same. Wouldn't be the same without Ick on the Shy Life podcast. But then maybe things aren't meant to stay the same. I wish I could decide what I wanted to do. Oh, dear. Well, it's time for some cake. Where's that Nick? I need to find him. Aunt Tappy's cake. Oh. I'd miss that if I went away. That's for sure. Yes. Paul, put the kettle on.
Oh, yeah, I'm putting the kettle on. Bye, listeners. Bye-bye.
The best part of the Shy Life podcast is when it ends.
I've heard that Paul's extremely nimble.
Oh, my God, nothing. There's nothing I like better than having a new Shy Life podcast hit my ear bone, my ear canal, something like that. 621. No, Paul, he's so sweet.
Well, Nick Goodman is on this episode.
Hello?
I'm here. I thought Nicholas was going to present something.
Yes.